Are you tired of your hiking gear just cluttering up your space, been a complete mess? In this video, I'm going to reveal to you how I store my hiking gear and how I have this storage solution that not only keeps my gear organised, but keeps it looking like a bit of a work of art, I think. Let's get into it. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Mauser here, hiking enthusiast, gear enthusiast, all things hiking. And today we are diving into the world of gear storage. That is how one stores their equipment and gear in between their hiking adventures and sojourns. If you're like me and you've got a bit of hiking gear that needs the correct storage and you need to keep it in a nice place where you can keep it well organised, you're in the right place. Stick around and I'll show you how I store my gear, how I look after it after a trip, and where I keep it and what I do with it in between trips, and also how I store all the extra gear that I've accumulated over the years. And just a quick note, if you're enjoying the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Really appreciate it. We're getting a big following on the channel now, and if you could just do your part, if you're liking the video, hit that like, hit the subscribe, and let's get back to the video. First up, let's look at the big four. That is tents, sleeping bags, sleeping pads, and packs. First up, tents. So here is one of my tents here, the big Agnes, copper spur, something or other, but it's nice and dry, it's nice and packed away at the moment. It's been on a trip earlier and it's now nice, neat and tidy, clean and dry. Now the most important thing when you get back from a trip is that you get this sort of thing out straight away as soon as you can when you get back, and make sure it just gets a good air and a good dry out. After a trip, you want to just make sure that it's completely dry. Even if it's been a dry trip, get the tent out, set it up, especially if it's a freestanding tent like this one. Set it up somewhere where it can get dry, it can get a bit of sunshine even, in the garage, out on the driveway, out on the lawn, somewhere where you can get it and air it out, give it a sweep out, and just let it get nice and dry before you go packing it away. If the conditions aren't right for that, then hang it up. I hang mine in my garage and I'll just leave it there for a week, somewhere nice and dry, and just let it air out and dry out. After that, I can put it back in its stuff sack, put it away and store it. Now, some people say you shouldn't fold tents, that you should, to prevent sort of seams and things forming. They say you shouldn't fold them, you should just stuff them in to store them. Not a huge fan of that. I just roll it up and put it in there. I've never had any trouble, and I generally have it out fairly often anyway, so that isn't an issue. But if your tent is only sort of out once a season or something, I'd recommend packing it a bit looser. So not necessarily packing it like this, but just having it folded flatly and loosely in a plastic tub, something like that. But once it's nice and dry, pretty straightforward. I keep mine like that in a tub, which you'll see very shortly. And that is how I keep my tent. I keep all the pegs, the stakes, the poles, everything contained in there, so it's never apart, and I won't forget a crucial part of it if I'm heading out on a trip quickly at short notice. Next up, sleeping bags. Sleeping bags are, in my case, as I talked about on my last video, a couple of videos ago, my quilt. Now, the thing with sleeping bags and quilts, they made out of down. Down is like that feathery stuff, you know, goose down, that sort of thing. And with down, you do not want to store it in a stuff sack in a compressed environment for very long at all. It's fine when you're heading out on the hike and you give it a couple of days in the stuff sack, but when you are storing it at home for long periods, you want to have it stored loosely in something like a bag. And most quilts or sleeping bags come with one of these bags that you can store it in, and it just stores it in there very loosely. It's not compressed, and the down isn't going to become crushed. These bags are great. With all the sleeping bags and stuff I've purchased, they come with one of these, and then you just store it loosely. I just keep that in a cupboard in my house. That just sits there in a cupboard, loosely stored like that. It can, when I was in university houses, things like that, it just sat somewhere where it wouldn't get crushed on top of a wardrobe, something like that. The other thing I did used to do was just hang it on the back of a door. I used to just hang it up sort of in that sort of fashion. It would hang on the door nice and loose like that. If you've got the space, you can put a coat hanger through it like that and store it like that, pretty neat and tidy, and that can just hang in a wardrobe somewhere. I tend to store this separate to all my other hiking gear just because it's delicate and I don't want it getting dusty or just in a bad environment. So this sort of lives in a cupboard in my bedroom, and that's where it lives when I'm not on the track. Also important when you are returning from a trip to give the sleeping bag a good air out as well. I air out everything after a trip, and I will just leave it literally, and you'll hear me say this a million times, but I'll leave it there for a week or two airing Can air like that on a clothes rack just out in the living room. I'll put it outside for a few hours during the day, just make sure all the moisture is gone from it and it's had a good air out. The other thing, if you are using your sleeping bag regularly, like more than a couple of times a year, if you're using it 4 or 5 times a year or more, I would be washing it at least once a year as well. We will go into that on another video. It's very straightforward, very much like a down jacket, but we will go into that on another video, and we will wash a sleeping bag. But yeah, just the first thing you've got to do is give it a good air out, and then do that wash once a year. If you're only using it once a year, then maybe once every 2 years is okay. That's sleeping bags, quilts, sorry. Oh, and one thing I nearly did forget, sleeping pads. I'll go into them in a bit more detail when we're down in my storeroom, but as you can see, just over here, you can leave these ones like the Neo Airs inflated like this. I tend to prefer to dry them out. I'll go into that in detail in a bit, but you can leave them inflated like this, semi-inflated, just lying somewhere flat against the wall, like just there. With your closed sill mats, like this one here, like we went into in another video, and these ones, I generally leave them with the valves open. Valves are open, and they just sit flat up against a wall somewhere. Anywhere. I used to keep them just behind a door in my bedroom. If you wedge them in between something, they can stand upright, but I don't roll them up or store them rolled up ever. They've always been flat like that, lying somewhere. That's the way you should store the closed sill ones. Another option again is to deflate these and hang them, once they are flat of course, over a coat hanger, and you can hang them in a cupboard or something like that. So that is sleeping pads and how to store them. We'll go into a bit more detail about how I store them when we're down in the storage mecca. Next up is packs. Packs are very straightforward. As you will see from the good old Hyperlite Porter, which I have reviewed on another video, you can check that out in the link below. Not much you need to do with these. I bring them home, and then I will just tip that upside down, get all the crap out that's accumulated, scrub bits of wood and things like that which somehow get in there. That all comes out. You can try and clean these, but I found it's pretty much a waste of time. You can get a damp cloth and try and wipe some of the stuff off, but it adds character, don't you think? And yeah, that's about all you do. If it's damp, obviously you hang it up to dry. Even if it's not, I still give it an air. I love to air stuff. I love it. Then after it's hung and dried out, I store it with all my other gear, which we're going to go to now. We're going to go into my gear storage room, my gear area. So let's go have a look in the storage room where I store all the gear, and we'll go through all the rest of the stuff and how I store it. Let's go. There you go. Quick transition there. Magic of film. Here we are in my storeroom where I store all my gear. So I've already gone through all the basic care for sleeping bags, tents, packs, that sort of thing. But this is where I store pretty much everything else, apart from some of those bits of clothing that I wear regularly all the time when I'm back home. So this is a little room under my house where we store all sorts of stuff, but I've managed to turn this wall, which was just a wooden wall, into my storage space for all my hiking gear. And I'm pretty proud of it, I've got to say. So we're going to just have a look through, look at all these tubs, see what I've got in them, see what I store and how I store everything, and have a run through just out of interest. Had a few people ask, let's have a look. So I've got these tubs sort of organised into bits of gear. Now, in amongst this is stuff that I take away on family camping trips for the kids and all that sort of stuff. So we'll just start from one end and we'll move across and have a look what's in each tub. Let's go. So I've got everything labelled as well. We've got our Gaiters tub here. And what I love about this room that I've set up is I've got like a bench here, and I can just put the tubs down like this and get organised, and I can have my pack sitting next to the tub as I get the pack, or I can have it down or just below the tub. And what I tend to do is I tend to just get everything I need, chuck it into the pack, just loosely put it in, and I'll go somewhere else to get organised and then do the packing. So Gaiters, got a few different types there. They're a running gaiter, the Moxies. We've got several Cedar Summit Quagmires. We're going to do a video at some stage on Gaiters. Stay tuned for that one. We've got just mainly Quagmire Gaiters, a few other brands down the bottom. Where we've got the Outdoor Research Gore-Tex, I think the alligator Gaiters, something. But that's my Gaiters box. And I just keep them in there. Important to dry your Gaiters out straight after a trip or whatever. Give them a hose down. I normally just put them out on the driveway or somewhere outside, give them a hose down, You can put them through the washing machine, but just get all the dirt and the mud and stuff off. Important for a variety of reasons. A, it keeps your stuff clean, which is nice. B, it stops spread of disease that you might have brought back from a track or wherever you've been. And C, it's just nice to have clean stuff, you know. Nice not to be handling dirty stuff when you're getting ready for your next trip. So it's worth cleaning your gaiters when you get back from your trip. Next up is gloves. Now, I should note that most of this stuff is my spare kit. Now, something I should have gone into first, which we'll go into now, is my main kit box. This is my main kit box. This is the stuff that I would generally take on most walks, including overnight walks. If I'm doing a last minute trip somewhere, I get this tub out first. This is the one that comes out first, and it has all my gear that I might need for said trip. It's got everything. It's not an exhaustive list, but it well and truly gets me started. It's got everything that I might need for a trip. I can open this box, look at it, and pull out the bits and pieces I need, and they're all going to be close at hand. I take this top tray off. This is just something I got at a hardware store. I can take that off. I've got sunglasses, I've got compass, I've got lighters, I've got a phone protective case. I've even got a thing there to hide a key on the car somewhere, so I don't have to carry a key with me. I keep that in there so I don't forget it. All that sort of stuff. I've got toiletries. I've got all my other bits. I've got a spare pair because next time I'll take a new pair of scrub gloves, I think, so I keep a pair of them in there. I've got the water vessels that I would carry. I have got toilet paper, so I do not forget that. I always keep toilet paper in this box so I don't leave home without it. I've got my cup that I take. I've got my little bowl if I want to take that. I've got my bladder, my water. I take that big water vessel in case I need to carry a lot of water with me. And I've got that hose that I take with it. There's my old scrub gloves. Then I've also got the Temres Showa gloves. They come on every single trip. I've talked about them before. You can check that video out there, but I talk about them quite a bit. They are a fantastic glove. I think they deserve their very own video. We might do one of them at one stage very soon. Then I've got all my clothes that I generally only use for hiking. So my warmer pants, my fleece, my thermals, that sort of thing are all here because I only take them hiking, and that's stuff that comes on every single trip, day walk, long walk, whatever, that all comes. So that's all in this box. And then at the bottom here, got my slippers I take, camp shoes, another video on them out there too, link is below. I've got my trowel, my trusty cat hole trowel, and then I've got a snake bite kit which goes on every walk as well. Here in Tasmania, Australia, got to watch out for snakes, so a snake bite kit comes. Then I do have some snow spikes that I just keep in there for winter trips. If I'm going somewhere slippery, I keep them so I don't forget them as well. And then at the bottom of this, I have got my the stuff sacks, all the various stuff sacks that I might need on a trip for up to 10 days. Basically every stuff sack that I would need in a 10-day trip is in this box. So I don't have to go sifting through my stuff sack box, which you'll see shortly. But that is my main kit box. That is what I look to first when I'm going on a trip somewhere. All the essential stuff is in there. I do, of course, use my checklist to check all this off, but that is a good point of first contact to pack for a trip. Most stuff is in there, ready to go. There's just a few other bits and pieces I have to grab. So that is the main kit. Now, back to where I was with the glove box. Let's have a look at that. So back to the gloves, spare gloves, got a whole heap. Every pair of gloves I have ever owned really are in this box, and I just keep them here in case I need to get them out for someone that needs to borrow them. If I'm taking someone on a trip that doesn't have all the gear, if I'm taking the kids, we can all come down. We normally come down when we're going away in winter, and we go through the glove box and we get the gloves out that we need. Heaps of different gloves here. I mean, I've got these hardcore things from years ago. Why'd I buy them? I don't know. I've got the old other Temres. I've got the start of the whole Temres revolution. They sit in there. I've got backup of my old glove system. I've got mittens, good smart wool mittens. I'll just keep them all in here. My old tried and tested event fabric over mittens, waterproof. Everything sits in here. And don't forget your chemise gloves. Spare pair of them. Talked about the chemise gloves non-stop on this channel. Love them. They're just my go-to, and I always have a spare pair because they do wear out after a couple of years. That's the glove box. Keep all that stuff in there. Also keep a few spare scrub gloves in there, bright ones there if you need them. I also have a box just of old thermal underwear, old thermals that I have, that, again, just for if I'm going on a trip, if someone from overseas or a friend that's visiting and they need gear, or if I'm going with someone that doesn't have all the gear, I've got all my old stuff here that's pretty good still, and the kids use this as well, just of old thermals. It's all here. I tend to not throw much away. I don't throw it away, I'll sell it if I don't need it anymore, but I've got thermals here for the whole family, for everyone, and if I need spare stuff, then they can come here and we can get it from here. I've also got old overpants and overpants for the kids, waterproof pants for the kids. That all lives in this tub as well. And what I love about my tub system is it just all stays nice and dry. It's easy to transport. If we're going away somewhere, I might empty one of these tubs out, just chuck a few bits in, and it's easy to transport and take away. We've got a beanie box as well. We just go through this stuff very quickly. Don't need to see my beanies, but I keep all them as well. And again, we come down, we'll find the beanies we need, chuck them in. Beanie box. Next up, the stove box. We've done a stove video before again as well with a lot of these stoves, and the fuel and the stove sit in here, and I can just get that open and I can decide which stove that I need for this trip. Like I said before, I'm a big fan of the Jetboil now. That is coming on most trips. If I didn't take that, then it would be something like the Pocket Rocket Deluxe that would come, or yeah, that's probably the two that I would take at this stage. But that's just a nice way to store your stoves and fuel. That all stays in there as well. So I know where everything is. It's very easy to find, and it's just a good system to have. Have it in boxes, have it on shelves, have it somewhere where you've got a bit of a system and you know where everything is. Makes it a lot easier to pack and put away after a trip. Then got kitchen. Kitchen entails things like pots and pans, my water bladders. Now, water bladders, I ensure that they completely dried out. So I'll leave them sitting on the kitchen bench, drying out in the sun somewhere for, up to a week or two, and make sure there's just not a trace of water in them before I store them. I do store the ones I regularly use in the freezer. So that is a good way I have found to store my water bladders, is that I store them in a big freezer that I've got. And they just live in there, and I get them out the night before a trip and give them a good rinse and fill them up on the morning that I'm leaving. But in this one, I've also got my pots and pans that I tend to not use so much anymore. These come more on camping trips, car camping trips. I've got some utensils. I've got some bottles if I want to take some olive oil or something in there. And that is my kitchen. I then have a big box of spare food. Simply, I keep it here in this tub, because it's nice to have it all with all the hiking gear, so I can do this part as well. If I'm going on a quick overnighter, I've generally got enough in here to keep me going. And B, I don't have room for this in my kitchen. 4 boys in my house, it doesn't leave much room for regular hiking food when you've got 4 boys to feed. So all this food and snap lock bags, that sort of thing, all lives in here. I'm ready to go. I've got breakfasts, I've got dehydrated meals. If I need them, I can just, there's an overnight trip right there. That took me 10 seconds, and it's goes straight into my pack. I'm ready to go. It's actually really nice having that food here when you're getting ready for a trip. It's really quite nice. Then I've just got another tub with just spare parts basically, and water filtration stuff. So I've got, in the top of this tub, I've just got a heap of spare parts. I've got compasses, spare compasses, repair kits for thermarests. I've got spare first aid, spare buckles for packs and things. Highly recommend keeping a bigger one of this, which is in my main kit, but spare buckles are a handy thing to have when you break one, just to have on hand. I keep spare shoelaces, like I said, repair kits, and then in here is all my snap lock bag things. I reuse them, they stay in there for the next trip. I've got a water filtration, the Sawyer water filtration kit, but in Tasmania you rarely need to use water filtration unless you're getting it from standing water that's been there for quite a while. But generally in Tasmania you are pretty safe, unless you're in a day walk area, like somewhere like Cradle Mountain, very safe to just drink out of streams. Yeah, and that's all there is in that one. But yeah, spare parts, repair kit, important you have all your repair stuff easy at hand, so you do not have any trouble finding it if you need to repair your thermarest or something like that. Then we come down again, and this tub is just for my pillows, when my sleeping mats, my things like my Neo Air thermarests I'd roll down and put in this. Once they are dry, I will leave them out for probably a couple of weeks after walk hanging to ensure, with the valve open, and just ensure they are completely dry. Some people do prefer to hang up their thermarests. I think personally, if I let it dry out for a good couple of weeks in the sun somewhere, laying flat with the valve open, it's going to be dry inside, so I'm happy to roll it up and store it in this tub. But the other option is to hang it over a coat hanger or something like that in a wardrobe with the valve open, so that it is hanging and not rolled up in a container. But I generally have them in here with my pillows. I have a couple of thermarests that roll up in here. Got my pillows in there along with, and this pillow should actually be in my main kit, so that's where that goes, because that's the one I take. And then I've got my things like my pumps, that sort of thing in here, along with some other pillows. Sleeping mats. And one other box we haven't looked at is just a spare clothes, generalised spare clothes kit that has got all sorts of things in it that I can decide to have a look through if I'm thinking I want to take something else on trip. It's got fleeces, it's got jackets, it's got old Montaigne slippers. We talked about them on a video too. No good. Croft likes them though. And yeah, a few fleeces, something a bit leery, a bit high vis if you need it when you're out on the track. That's just a spare clothes bag. Down pants, fashionable. Do you want to see a fleece video? Should we do a fleece video? Leave a comment below if you think we should, and I'll do it. So yeah, spare clothes there. And as you can see, we've only been here a short time. I've been prattling on, but we've got everything organised. I know everything is. It's a good system. Then finally, over here, we've got just a pull-out thing that's got my Daypacks in it. So that's my current favourite, is the Salomon XA35 Daypack. It's just like a running pack, but it's 35 litres with heaps of stuff in there. I would take that on a 1 or 2 night trip if I was wanting to go super light. Great little pack, but I keep my general day packs in there. Got this one I bought on Kickstarter, the Arcadia Supply Company one, which rolls down into a very small bag. That is not bad. And a few other bits and pieces in there as well. So day packs, that's another option. Below that, we've got just a travel pack that when I'm going with the family in winter, we've got our core beanie and gloves kit there ready to go. So we're going out for the day, going out in the evening, that sits there. Then we've also got tarps, bivy and rope and stakes, tent stakes in here as well. So I've got my Outdoor Research bivy, which has been used way too much, actually not at all. And then we've got the awesome tarp, the MSR Through Hiker 100 wing tarp that comes on most of the bigger trips now. It's a great little tarp. Then we've got a whole bunch of spare tent stakes that I can get if I need them. We've got the Carbon Core MSR stake. I like them. That's the longer version. We've got the Groundhog stake. I love them. Got a heap of them in here. We've got spare rope if we need it. If we're going on a mission to, Southwest Tasmania, it needs a bit of pack hauling potentially. We've got different sizes of ropes. We keep them in there, and that's where all that lives. Then the piece de resistance, the tent box. So you see I've got the lid off this tent box, and the reason for that is I just don't want a plastic lid on top. If there was a bit of moisture in here, it would cause mildew and mold. Don't want that really. Another thing I do with tents is I will leave them set up in my garage or in my living room somewhere, because they're all freestanding. I will hang them, or I will dry them and leave them there for a week or two after a walk, just to ensure they're completely dry. And if you don't have the space for that, then just try and find somewhere you can hang them, even over a door or hanging from, a curtain rail or somewhere that you can ensure it's going to be dry. I find the best thing is just to have it set up somewhere inside, in a garage, wherever, so it can fully dry out. But in there we've got the one that we've been using lately, the big Agnes, the Copper Spur HV UL3 Mountain Glow, such a mouthful. We've got the tarp tent, Stratisfire Lee, great little tent. Ooh. About that. We've got the old Stalwart, the old Mother Hubber. That's about 13, 14 years old. Great tent, love that tent, love it. We've got the one-man Hubber. That's gone on a few trips, but not as many as it should have done. Don't tend to use that much anymore. Then our winter tent is the MSR Access 2. That is a very nice tent, very light, and a good 4-season tent to have for those winter trips. But yeah, tent box, they stay dry. That's the main thing with tents. Make sure they're dry before you pack them away. There is nothing worse than getting a tent out that has got mildew and mold on it. And if you're not using for a while, I do check these probably once a year at least. I set them up in the garage somewhere and just make sure that their condition is okay. Then I've just got some random bits and pieces. So in here we've got my chairs. So we've got the Helinox ground chair, comes on pretty much every trip. I don't think I would see myself doing a trip without that. That is an awesome chair. Then we've also got a hammock, if I decided I was going to be a hammock guy, but that's not happening. That just goes on car camping missions. Then we've got the Helinox table as well. Very nice little table. Well, that's the table. That's a rocking chair. Another table. Too much stuff. And then if you need them, we've got the MSR Snowshoes. Keep them down here too, you know, because I use them so much, so often that they need to be close at hand. You know, the MSR Snowshoes, look at them. Mint condition. Even got the tails for them. Check that out. MSR Snowshoes. Maybe it'll snow here one day and I can actually use it. Then over in the corner, we've got my packs hanging. We've got the Hyperlite packs I've talked about before. Got my old Osprey pack. Can't remember what that was called. Put that on the screen. Another Osprey pack. They hang there. And again with the packs, like I did say a minute ago, was that just make sure they're dry before you store them. Then over in the corner here is where we store all our travel duffels. So if I'm going away hiking somewhere, or if I need an extra bag, this is what I take. These are the bags we take traveling with us everywhere we go. They're generally all these Osprey wheeled duffels. I love these bags. They are awesome. They've got heaps of room in them. We're actually going away tomorrow, so this will be getting a trip. And we've got various sizes. This is a 90 litre. That will be coming tomorrow. Awesome. Keep the AirTag in there so I can keep track of the bag if it goes missing. That's the Apple AirTag. Good little jigger, that one. That's that one. I've also got a 120 litre one just for one of those big trips like we've just been on. We take these as a family. Great bags. They are indestructible and they pack down. They are light. They are really good. The kids can pull these along very easily. Not an issue at all. In fact, we've got 3 of these ones. There's a blue one, 90 litre. Got 3 of them. We've got a Patagonia one, but these are the bomb. Is that a thing people say still? The bomb? These are the bomb. These wheeled duffels, love them. In case you couldn't figure that already, I love those things. So, and of course, we've got our hiking poles as well, which just sit there. I don't take them that often, but if I want them, they're there. And look, that's there you have it. That is how I store my gear. Hope you enjoyed that. That is a very quick rundown of how I store it, what's in there. I think that's pretty much it. The only stuff that isn't in here are things, generally electronics, so things like my headlamps sit in a little box upstairs where I take the batteries out of them and to store them if I'm not using them, unless they're a fully rechargeable one. And my camera gear, which sits in another room with my camera stuff. And then also, is there anything? And the sleeping bags, they stay in a cupboard upstairs. We talked about that earlier. So there you have it. That's how I store my gear down here in this little hidey hole that I've got. I'm pretty happy with it. Took me about half an hour to build that shelving system. Got some plastic tubs that were lying around the house and it's just come up really well, and hope you enjoyed that. Something a bit different. A couple of people asked me how I store my gear, so I thought I'd do a video on it. Till next time, I think we're going to come back and talk about maybe trip planning, how we plan trips. Do you want to hear something else? Have you got a topic you'd like to see me talk about, discuss? I think we've got Gaiters on the list. We're going to talk about Gaiters. We're going to talk about setting up a tent in the rain at some stage. I just need it to be raining and I need to be on a walk and do that one authentically. Give me some other ideas. What do you want to see in a video? Until then, don't forget to like, subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, even hit that little bell icon and you'll get notified of when the next video hits. In the meantime, sign up to the newsletter down below. Link is below. Get some merch. Get some Mauser merch. That is on the go. Someone bought something. Well done. Thank you. That is great. I'll try and it's someone I know actually, and I think I'll try and get a little shot of him in the Mauser merch so we know what we're talking about. Till next time, get out in the trails, have a good hike. I've got to go pack because I'm going away tomorrow down the east coast of Tasmania, school holidays, all that stuff. Enjoy your time on the trails and I will see you next time. Till then, have a good one and bye-bye.